The lawyer's office smells like old books and furniture polish, the kind of scent that makes you think of money and secrets kept in mahogany drawers. I sit in a leather chair that creaks when I shift my weight, watching Mr. Henderson shuffle papers with practiced efficiency. Across from me, my sister Claire twists her wedding ring, a nervous habit she's had since high school. Our mother dabs at her eyes with a tissue, though Grandma Evelyn's passing 3 weeks ago wasn't unexpected. At 92, she'd lived a full life, sharp as a tack until her final days. Still, grief sits heavy in this room, mixing with something else I can't quite name. Mr. Henderson clears his throat, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. Thank you all for coming. Mrs. Evelyn Ashford left very specific instructions regarding her estate. I glance at Claire, who's gone pale beneath her carefully applied makeup. Her hands have stopped moving, frozen mid-twist on that diamond ring Marcus bought her when they got engaged. Something flickers across her face. Fear? Guilt? Before I can decipher it, she catches me looking and forces a smile. The estate is substantial, Mr. Henderson continues, his voice measured and professional. Properties in Charleston and Asheville, investment portfolios, family heirlooms, and of course, the primary residence where Mrs. Ashford lived. Mom reaches for my hand, squeezing it gently. Dad sits beside her, stoic as always, but his jaw is tight. They're expecting this to be straightforward. Grandma loved both Claire and me equally, or so we always believed. However, Mr. Henderson says, and that single word makes my stomach clench, Mrs. Ashford made significant changes to her will approximately 8 months ago. She was very clear about her reasoning, which she asked me to explain before we discussed the distributions. 8 months ago. I try to remember what was happening then. Claire had just started her non-profit, the one she'd been talking about for years. Mom had been so proud, posting about it constantly on Facebook. My daughter, the philanthropist. She'd written beneath a photo of Claire at some charity gala. Mr. Henderson pulls out a sealed envelope, Grandma's elegant handwriting visible on the front. Name. Written in the shaky script of her final months, but unmistakably hers. Natalie, he says, sliding it across the polished desk. Your grandmother requested you read this aloud. My hands tremble as I break the seal. The paper inside is thick, expensive stationery that Grandma always used for important correspondence. I unfold it slowly, aware of every eye in the room fixed on me. My dearest Natalie, if you're reading this, I've finally gone to join your grandfather, and it's time for the truth to come out. I'm sorry to put this burden on you, but you're the strongest person I know, and you'll do what's right. 8 months ago, I discovered something that broke my heart. Your sister Claire has been stealing from me. The words blur as tears spring to my eyes. I look up at Claire, whose face has drained of all color. She's shaking her head, mouth forming the word no silently. Keep reading, Mr. Henderson says gently but firmly. It started small, I think. A few $100s here and there from my checking account. I might not have noticed if my accountant hadn't flagged some unusual activity. But as we investigated, we found more. Much more. Over the past 3 years, Claire has taken approximately $340,000 from various accounts. She had access because I'd added her as a joint account holder when she offered to help me manage my finances. I was getting older and she seemed so caring, so concerned about my well-being. The non-profit she claims to run. It doesn't exist. Not really. She registered it, created a website, even hosted fundraising events. But the money doesn't go to helping underprivileged children get access to arts education. It goes into her personal accounts. Every donation, every grant, every dollar I gave her believing I was helping change lives. Can't breathe. The room tilts slightly as I grip the letter with both hands. Mom has started to cry, real tears now, not the gentle grief from before. Dad's face has turned to stone. This is insane, Claire bursts out, her voice high and tight. Grandma was confused at the end. Everyone knows that. She probably got her accounts mixed up. Mrs. Ashford was evaluated by 3 separate physicians, Mr. Henderson interrupts. All confirmed she was of sound mind when she made these changes. She also provided extensive documentation to support her claims. He produces a thick folder, placing it on the desk between us. Bank statements, copies of checks, transfer records, all meticulously organized and highlighted. Grandma's work, no doubt. Even in her final months, she'd maintained that sharp attention to detail. I hired a private investigator. The letter continues. I needed to be absolutely certain before I acted. What he found devastated me. The money she took from me funded a lifestyle she and Marcus couldn't afford on their actual income. The beach house they claimed they bought with his bonus. My money. The Tesla in the driveway. My money. Even their wedding, that extravagant affair at the plantation, was paid for with funds she'd stolen, not saved, as she told everyone. My sister's sob cuts through the room. You don't understand. Marcus was going to leave me if I couldn't keep up with his expectations. His family has money, real money, and they look down on me. I just wanted. You wanted to steal from Grandma? I hear the anger in my voice before I can control it. For 3 years. You let her believe she was helping children while you bought luxury cars. It wasn't like that. Claire's mascara runs in dark streams down her cheeks. I was going to pay it back. I just needed time to figure things out. 3 years, Dad says, his voice deadly quiet. 3 years you looked your grandmother in the eye and lied to her. Let her think she was doing good in the world. I didn't go to the police. Grandma's letter reads. I couldn't bear the thought of our family being torn apart by scandal, of Claire facing criminal charges. But I also couldn't let this continue. So I made changes. Natalie, you get everything. The houses, the portfolios, the heirlooms, all of it. But this isn't a punishment for Claire. Not entirely. It's a test for you. I'm leaving you with a choice. You can keep everything which would be within your rights. Your sister stole, and actions have consequences. Or you can decide what kind of person you want to be when faced with the worst kind of betrayal. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm simply giving you the power to decide. Whatever you choose, know that I love you both, but I trust you to make the right decision. With all my heart, Grandma. The silence that follows is suffocating. Mr. Henderson begins explaining the specifics. The properties are valued at over $2 million, the investment portfolios at another $3 million, plus various other assets. It's more money than I ever imagined Grandma having, accumulated carefully over decades of smart investments and frugal living. Claire has buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. Mom alternates between comforting her and looking at me with something like hope mixed with desperation. Dad just stares at the folder of evidence. His expression unreadable. Natalie, Mom finally says, her voice pleading. She's your sister. She made a terrible mistake, but she's still family. Grandma must have known you'd do the right thing and share. The right thing. I set the letter down carefully, my hands steadier now. What's the right thing, Mom? To pretend this didn't happen. To let Claire face no consequences for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from an elderly woman who loved her. She loved both of you, Mom insists. That's why she left you this choice. She wanted forgiveness, wanted this family to stay together. I look at Claire, really look at her. The designer clothes she's wearing. Grandma's money. The diamond studs in her ears. Grandma's money. Even the highlights in her professionally styled hair probably came from funds that should have gone to children who needed art supplies or music lessons. How much of it is left? I ask Mr. Henderson. He consults his papers. According to our investigation, approximately $83,000 has been spent. The rest was invested in assets that could theoretically be liquidated. Theoretically. The beach house has a mortgage that exceeds its current value. The vehicles have depreciated. Liquidating everything wouldn't recover the full amount. Claire looks up, mascara stained and desperate. Nat, please. I know I messed up. I know it was wrong. But if this gets out, my life is over. Marcus will divorce me. Everyone will know what I did. I'll lose everything. You should lose everything, I say quietly. You stole from Grandma. You lied to all of us for years. You built your entire life on money that wasn't yours. So that's it. Her voice turns bitter. You're just going to take it all and throw me to the wolves. I don't know yet, I admit, and it's the truth. My mind is racing, trying to process the enormity of what I've learned. I need time to think. Mr. Henderson nods. The will gives you 60 days to make any decisions about distributions. Take the time you need. All assets are currently frozen pending your instructions. That night, I sit alone in my small apartment, the one I actually paid for with my teaching salary, and open my laptop. Claire's nonprofit website is beautiful. Professional photos of smiling children, testimonials from supposed beneficiaries, a mission statement about bringing art to underserved communities. All eyes. I click through the photo galleries. There's Claire at fundraising galas, accepting oversized checks, giving speeches about the power of creativity to transform young lives. In one photo, she stands next to Grandma, both of them beaming at the camera. The caption reads, "With my biggest supporter and inspiration, who taught me the importance of giving back." My phone buzzes. Text after text from Claire. "Please talk to me. I can explain everything. Don't do this to our family. Mom is devastated. You're going to regret this." I block her number and pour myself a glass of wine. Then I pull up the bank statements Mr. Henderson provided. 3 years of theft, laid out in black and white. Small amounts at first, then growing bolder. Transfers labeled charitable donations and program expenses that went straight to personal accounts. The investigator's report is even more damning. Photos of Claire and Marcus at expensive restaurants, luxury vacation destinations, shopping sprees at boutiques that cost more than I make in a month. All while Grandma lived modestly in her same house, believing her money was changing the world. My phone rings. I let it go to voicemail. Then again. Dad this time. Answer. "Natalie." His voice is heavy with exhaustion. "Your mother wants me to convince you to share the inheritance with Claire." "And what do you want?" Long pause. "I want to say I'm proud of you. For the first time in 3 years, someone in this family is facing the truth instead of making excuses." "Dad." "But I'm also watching my family fall apart. Your mother can't stop crying. Claire has locked herself in her bedroom. Marcus called me tonight, furious, demanding to know if we knew about this before the wedding." "Did you?" "No." He sounds broken. "I had no idea my daughter was capable of something like this. I keep asking myself where we went wrong, what we missed. This isn't on you and Mom. Isn't it?" He sighs. "We raised her. We must have failed somehow. She made her own choices, Dad. For 3 years, she made the same choice over and over again." "I know." Another pause. "Grandma chose well, leaving this decision to you. She knew you'd be strong enough to handle it." After we hang up, I find myself pulling up photos of Grandma. Her laugh lines, her silver hair always perfectly styled, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled. She loved both of us, I know that. But she also valued integrity above everything else. What would she really want me to do? The next morning, I call my best friend Rachel, who's a lawyer specializing in financial crimes. "Holy shit," she says after I explain everything. "Your sister could face serious charges. Wire fraud, theft from the elderly, probably tax evasion too if she didn't report the stolen money as income." "I'm not interested in pressing charges," I tell her. "I just need to understand my options." Okay, so legally it's all yours. The will is airtight, and you have no obligation to share a penny with Claire. But you could structure something. A payment plan, maybe, if you wanted to give her a chance to make things right. Or you could set conditions. Require her to seek therapy, to publicly admit what she did, to actually start a real non-profit with oversight. And if she refuses, then she gets nothing, and honestly that would be completely justified. She stole $340,000 from your grandmother, Nat. Most people would be in prison for that. I thank her and hang up, an idea forming in my mind. 2 weeks pass. I don't respond to Claire's increasingly frantic messages or Mom's tearful voicemails. I meet with financial advisors, tax attorneys, and Mr. Henderson several more times. I visit Grandma's house, walking through rooms filled with memories and furniture that's been in our family for generations. In her study, I find more evidence she'd compiled but never showed the lawyer. Journals where she'd tracked Claire's lies, noting dates and amounts with heartbreaking precision. In one entry, dated 6 months before her death, she'd written, "I confronted Claire today. She cried and promised to pay everything back, but I found another transfer this afternoon. She thinks I'm too senile to notice. My heart is breaking." I sit at her desk and cry for the first time since learning the truth. Not just for the money, but for Grandma's pain, for the betrayal she'd carried alone in her final months, for the family we used to be before greed and lies poisoned everything. Finally, on day 58 of my 60-day deadline, I call a family meeting. Mr. Henderson's office, same leather chairs, same suffocating atmosphere. But this time I'm the one in control. Claire looks terrible. She's lost weight, and her usually perfect appearance is disheveled. Dark circles shadow her eyes. Marcus sits beside her, his expression cold and detached. He knows everything now, and their marriage is clearly hanging by a thread. Mom and Dad sit together, holding hands like they're bracing for impact. I set a folder on the desk, my own compiled evidence and research. "I've made my decision," I say, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "But first, I need to tell you what I learned about Grandma's final months." I read them passages from her journals, watching Claire flinch with each word. By the end, Mom is sobbing openly, and even Dad has tears streaming down his face. "She forgave me," Claire whispers. "She must have, or she would have gone to the police." "She didn't go to the police because she loved you," I correct. "That's not the same as forgiveness. And it doesn't erase what you did." "So what happens now?" Marcus asks, his tone businesslike. "Are you pressing charges?" "No." Pull out a document. "But I'm not just handing over millions of dollars either. Here's what's going to happen. Claire will get nothing directly. Instead, I'm establishing a real non-profit in Grandma's name, the Evelyn Ashford Foundation for Arts Education. It will be properly registered, with an independent board of directors and full financial transparency. I slide copies of the proposal across the desk. "Claire, you'll work for this foundation. Not as director, not in any position of financial authority, but as a program coordinator. You'll earn a modest salary, and you'll actually do the work you pretended to do for 3 years. You'll meet real children, see real need, and learn what it means to give back instead of take." "For how long?" she asks, her voice small. "For as long as the foundation exists, if you want to keep your job. Additionally, you'll enter therapy, real therapy, not just a few sessions to check a box. You'll work on understanding why you thought stealing from Grandma was acceptable. And if I refuse, then you get nothing, and I'll release all of Grandma's documentation to the family and close friends. Everyone will know what you did. I won't press charges, but I won't protect you from the consequences either." Marcus leans forward. "What about the assets we purchased with the stolen funds? Those stay with you. Consider them compensation for the humiliation you'll face when people find out your wife is a thief." But Claire will donate any inheritance she might receive from mom and dad to the foundation. That's non-negotiable. Gas. Natalie, you can't dictate. I'm not dictating anything about your money, Mom. But if Claire wants to participate in this arrangement, if she wants to avoid criminal charges and public humiliation, she'll agree to these terms. I pull out another document. This is a contract. Claire will sign it, acknowledging what she did and agreeing to these conditions. She'll also make a public statement, nothing too detailed, but acknowledging that the non-profit was mismanaged and she's stepping back from leadership. She'll apologize to everyone who donated. This is insane, Marcus mutters. This is mercy, I counter. Because here's what I learned from Grandma's journals. She didn't just want Claire punished. She wanted her to become a better person. She hoped that by leaving this choice to me, I'd find a way to help Claire fix what she'd broken, in herself and in our family. Claire's face crumples. I don't deserve this. No, I agree. You don't. But Grandma loved you anyway, and so do I. So I'm giving you a chance to earn redemption. It won't be easy. You'll work hard for modest pay, doing work that actually matters. You'll face questions from people who knew about the original non-profit. You'll have to live with what you did every single day. And if I complete your terms, if I do everything you're asking, then maybe years from now, when you've proven you've changed, we can talk about you having a small role in managing part of Grandma's legacy. Not the money, but maybe helping to decide which programs to fund, which children to help. If you show you can be trusted again. The silence that follows is different from before. Not suffocating, but heavy with possibility. There's one more thing, I add. I'm selling the beach house. The proceeds will go to the foundation to help cover the shortfall from what you spent. The luxury cars too. You'll drive something practical, paid for with your own earnings. Marcus stands abruptly. I didn't agree to. Sit down, Claire says quietly. He stares at her in shock, but she meets his gaze steadily. Sit down, Marcus. This is my mess to clean up, not yours. He sits, jaw clenched. Claire reaches for the contract, her hand trembling. Can I have a pen? You should read it first, Mr. Henderson advises. I don't need to. She looks at me with red-rimmed eyes. I know what I did. I know what I deserve. If Natalie is willing to give me this chance, I'm taking it. She signs on every line, her signature shaky but deliberate. When she's finished, she slides the papers back across the desk. Thank you, she whispers. I know you probably hate me. I hate myself. But I'm going to try to be better. I promise. Don't promise me, I tell her. Promise Grandma. Promise all those kids whose lives you could have changed but didn't because you were too busy buying things you didn't need. Promise yourself that you'll become someone worthy of the second chance you're getting. Mom pulls both of us into a hug, sobbing. Dad joins us, and for a moment we're just a family again, broken but maybe not beyond repair. That night, I visit Grandma's grave for the first time since the funeral. The headstone is simple, elegant, just like she was. I place fresh flowers and sit in the grass beside her. I hope I did right, I tell her. I couldn't just let it go, but I couldn't destroy her either. So I'm trying something in between. Accountability with mercy. Justice with love. The wind rustles through the trees, and I imagine it's Grandma's approval. 6 months later, the Evelyn Ashford Foundation holds its first program. 20 underprivileged children gather in a converted warehouse, supplied with art materials we've carefully budgeted and purchased. Claire is there, not in designer clothes but in jeans and a paint-splattered shirt, helping a shy 8-year-old mix colors. I watch from the doorway as she kneels beside the child, genuinely engaged, genuinely present. She's thinner now, the stress of the past months showing in the lines around her eyes. But there's something else too, a softness that wasn't there before, a humility that comes from being broken and choosing to rebuild. She sees me and offers a tentative smile. Smile back. It's not forgiveness, not yet. Maybe it never will be. But it's a start. As I turn to leave, my phone buzzes with an email from our program director. Another school district wants to partner with us. Another group of children who need what we're offering. I forward it to Claire with a simple message. Your first real success. Grandma would be proud. Her response comes immediately. Thank you for giving me the chance to earn it. I drive home through Charleston's historic streets, past the houses we grew up visiting with Grandma, past the places where she taught us about history and heritage and what it means to leave a legacy. She left me more than money. She left me the power to choose what kind of person I'd be when tested. In my apartment, I find the photo I'd framed, Grandma and me at my college graduation. She's beaming with pride, her hand on my shoulder. On the back, in her handwriting, you've always been stronger than you know. Trust yourself. I did trust myself. And in doing so, maybe I saved my sister from becoming someone beyond redemption. Maybe I saved our family from being torn apart forever. Or maybe I just postponed the inevitable. Only time will tell if Claire's change is real, or if she's just biding time until she can strike again. But I built in safeguards. Oversight, transparency, limited access to funds. If she tries to steal again, she won't get far. And if she doesn't, if she actually becomes the person she's pretending to be now, then maybe Grandma's final gift wasn't the money at all, but the chance for both of us to learn what we're really made of when everything is on the line. A year passes. The foundation thrives, serving over 200 children across 3 cities. Claire works tirelessly, and her therapy seems to be helping. She and Marcus separated quietly, and she's living in a modest apartment, driving a used Honda, building a life based on what she earns rather than what she steals. She still doesn't have access to any significant money. That will take time if it ever happens. But she shows up every day, does the work, and slowly, so slowly, begins to repair her reputation. At our first anniversary gala, we unveil a portrait of Grandma that will hang in our main office. Claire stands beside me as we pull away the cloth, both of us tearing up at the sight of her knowing smile. She knew, Claire says softly. She knew exactly what she was doing, leaving you in charge. She knew we both needed to learn something, I reply. You needed to learn that actions have consequences. I needed to learn that justice doesn't have to mean destruction. Do you think she's proud of us? I look at Grandma's portrait, at those wise eyes that always saw through pretense to truth. I think she's waiting to see what we do next. Because that's the thing about legacies. They're not just about what we inherit, but what we do with what we're given. Grandma gave me money, property, and power. But more importantly, she gave me a choice about what kind of person to be. I chose to be like her. Tough but fair. Demanding accountability but offering grace. Refusing to accept lies while still believing in redemption. And maybe, just maybe, I chose to give my sister what Grandma gave me. A chance to become someone better than her worst moment. Whether she takes that chance or throws it away is up to her now. All I can do is keep my part of the bargain. Creating something good from something broken, building a legacy that honors Grandma's memory not just with money, but with meaning. As I watch Claire interact with the children at our programs, I still don't know if I made the right choice. Some days I think I was too lenient, that she deserved harsher consequences. Other days I think Grandma would be pleased with the balance I struck. But every time I see a child's face light up when they create something beautiful, every time I read a thank you letter from a parent whose child found confidence through art, I know that at least part of what I did was right. The inheritance wasn't just money. It was a test of character, a chance to define myself not by what I owned but by what I chose to do when I had all the power. I chose to be generous but not foolish. Forgiving but not enabling. Strong but not cruel. I chose to believe that people can change, but only if they're given both consequences and chances, accountability and support, truth and grace. I chose to honor Grandma's legacy not by hoarding what she left, but by multiplying it, turning her money into opportunity, her disappointment into hope, her final lesson into something that will outlast all of us. And in the end, maybe that's what inheritance really means. Not what we receive, but what we transform it into. Not what we keep, but what we give away. Not the end of a story, but the beginning of something new. 3 years later, the foundation has grown beyond anything I imagined. Claire is now the program director, a position she earned through years of hard work and genuine change. She still sees her therapist weekly. She still lives modestly. And she still shows up every day, committed to the work. We'll never get back what we lost. The innocence of believing family was safe, the trust that was shattered, the grandmother who held her pain in silence. But we built something new from the ruins. Something honest. Something real. And maybe, in the end, that's the greatest inheritance of all.